Welcome to my songwriter show called All Four Songs. If you've tuned in before, last week I introduced the idea of sources. You know, I had some emails that I read, and it made me really want to dig through. I'm just gonna put this down. It made me really want to dig through my voice memos a little bit as we continue to talk about songs, and particularly I talk about my songs so much. I've been sort of intrigued by the idea of finding different ways to talk about the songs. Now, because it's like not every song is the most interesting to say, hey, this is what it's about, or this is how I wrote it, or something. So some of them it's about, oh, I forgot I was going to open more resources. Oh, I did. Anyway, so Windshield. We'll talk about Windshield here. This song for me, the most memorable thing about it is recording it, which was a freaking blast. I'll get into that. And writing it was like one of the most stream of conscious things I've ever done. And I recorded it all. It's like when I was really starting to learn to rely on the voice memo, just kind of sitting there with my guitar, recording my ideas as they came out. So you can, I did today, literally listen to myself write the song. I'm going to play a little bit of that for you. There's like 20 minutes of it, and it gets pretty boring, maybe. I don't know. I think so. It's repetitive, and you'll see. But I'm going to play some for you. I don't know how much is appropriate. We're going to decide as we go. So I just kind of sat down and it just fell out of me. And it's interesting because it's such a dramatic song, and there's a lot of like difficult material that's dealt with in there, and I was just kind of writing to be a writer. It talks about a loved one dying, and I've had a lot of people tell me that this song has helped them through the loss of something or other, or these difficult emotions, and it doesn't have that like specific attachment for me because I was just writing these ideas. And I was kind of exploring melody more than the subject matter or the lyrics. It's like the same chords the whole time, and I was trying to write an escalating melody through the whole thing, which you'll hear a little of in the thing. But first, I digress here. As I'm digging through the voice memos I come across, I realize there's all these like more of me, which I did last week. There are so many different lyrics from that song that are parts of other songs I wrote that never became songs. One of which that I still love so much is called Teaching a Robot to Love. And it's a fun story. I was playing Cards Against Humanity at my friend Russ's house, I think. And I forget what colors the cards are or whatever, but the subject card was, why do I hurt all over? And someone played the card Teaching a Robot to Love. And I was like, whoa, my God, that's amazing. So I wrote a song about it. I'll play it for you. And the first verse, I like a lot of the lyrics in it. It's kind of silly, but I think it's great. Now, this will serve partially as a test run. I have no idea what this is going to sound like for you, so feel free to comment 20 seconds later than I start here, and just let me know if it's like distorted or too loud or too quiet. Probably could be louder.
Like a slower life now or a faster one later. Wanna hurry up and get something done. For the rest of my time is sold to the most seemingly promising one. Two separate meals, should one of us go down or another way to get out of town. I'll protect you if it's you. Would you do the same? Why do I hurt all over? I've been teaching a robot to love. There's no hope for neither.
No hope for neither. That's really good grammar.
Pretty Diana's got smoke in her eyes, and she feels like she's gonna cry, but there's no one to know this.
No one's complaining about the audio, so I'm assuming you can hear. I like this next verse too. I never used it, so maybe I will.
I keep telling you someday and somewhere I'm sure I'm just meaning to drag it all out. This certainty seems so risky to me when there is anything better to be. Right around all over, I'm teaching robots to love, and there's no hope for neither. Pretty Diana's got smoke in her eyes, and
I don't know who Diana is.
like she's gonna cry, but there's no
I don't like that part, but the robot part, that's good. All right, that's that. That was just for fun. There's a lot of stuff in there I never used, and it's interesting when I go through it. At first I don't know what it is, and then as soon as I start singing it, I remember. And I was listening to like this 2012, 2013 voice memos, and right when I start singing, I remember all the words again. Okay, so windshield. Back to windshield. There are 7 of these, and I'm going to try not to overdo it here. So I'm just going to start with the first one where I really just start spitting the ideas out, and you'll get an idea for how I spit ideas out when I have no idea what I'm talking about. Guitar sounds pretty bad. This one's so cute.
Are you looking out for me, or am I left? Would I be broken? Could be years of satisfied, like nicotine, or heartache.
See, I mentioned that line about the loved one that dies being so important for everyone. The original lyric was like nicotine and broken dreams. Really glad I changed that. It becomes kerosene in a later draft, and I'm unsure if Dave had written kerosene yet.
I'm forced to take all my sleepless nights alone away.
So I'm just kind of freestyling this melody with just words that are coming to mind. I don't really remember at all having a specific intention for what it was going to be about, except for that line about the windshield.
I don't know how I'm feeling, and no one can verify everything is working properly. It's all I can try. There's something on the windshield, so I can't fucking see.
Really delivering that F word in the draft. I'm going to keep going. There's this thing I wanted you to hear coming up where I start singing a verse and it becomes the melodies of the woes.
Are you looking out for me, or am I left? Would I be confused of satisfied, like nicotine in the tree?
Nicotine,
A heartache in my forced to take, a heartache in my forced to take. All this sickness not alone without it.
See, I sort of learned at this point I would stop and write stuff down, but if I do that, I'd forget. So if I just keep singing it over and over again. Trying to get to this next melody part, I have no idea where it is. I'm thinking this is where it's coming.
Are you looking out for me, or am I left? Would I be years of
See, I'm just singing the same thing over and over again, trying different melodies. And the next one, I sort of start spitting out all the lyrics that become closer to the real thing. That's what I'm waiting for. It's coming. Something about a king and a princess. I have no idea.
Someone call the princess, 'cause the king is broken.
Someone call the princess because the king is broken? What the hell is that? Oh, what's that melody? Someone gotta hide the children. Anyway, that goes on and on, but like 20, 30 minutes later, it's kind of the song you know. I did some research on the time, too, and it's like later that day, I do a pretty accurate representation of the song, and then 3 days later, I make a demo of kind of how it is now. Fast forward to, you know, it's fun for me to listen back to. It's like I start singing the woes in the third one, and then in like the fourth one, I introduce the other chord in a verse, and then that becomes part of the woes. This is just what I remember of this song, is writing it this way. Also, what I remember is recording it. Since it was so like loose and undeveloped and just kind of this like climbing, escalating intensity thing, we didn't know how to like form it out. Anders wrote that dobro lick. It's got 12 million listens on Spotify. That's pretty incredible. We didn't know how to record it, and I was reading the David Byrne book, How Music Works, and I was reading in there that about polarity of sound waves. A sound wave goes like this, and the polarity is whether it's going up or down. If microphones are in reverse polarity, they are sound, it cancels each other. And I was like, what? How does that work? So I asked our engineer, and I was reading about like singing in the control room. And you can, so what he did and what he explained to me that you can do is he set the band up in the room, everyone's playing, and I stopped playing mandolin, came into the control room, put a microphone in the center of the room, the exact center. This is all some mathematical science here. And then two speakers on opposite polarity so that the sound is canceled out when it hits the microphone. So there's no bleed of the speakers that I'm singing to, because normally you're recording with headphones on, so you have an isolated track of just the vocal, you know? So I sang Windshield in the control room at like Mach 12 volume, just rocking out with no headphones on. It was like a friggin' blast. It was so fun. And the vibe is just high, man, high vibes. So I sing through the song one whole time. And then I tell, it's like they're just kind of, they don't know how to end it because we didn't write an ending. So they're just still playing. And I tell them to keep going. And then I sing it again, starting from this place that's like, you know, the outro. The outro becomes intro. And that's why on the record, not that record, that's why on the record, at the end of just listening, you get, okay, yeah, here we go. There's a hidden track, right? The song's over. And then all of a sudden this comes back in. And what this is the outro of the first take, I think. It's like a whole minute. I, of course, later went back and played mandolin on it, but... So right here is me in the control room being like... jamming, you know? We had some friends in there and stuff. It was a fun night in the studio. And then the intro comes back in, right? That's like the banjo line. So if you're playing the record on repeat, then that happens at the end, right back into Windshield, just like we recorded it. All right, that's probably enough of that. I've got Theo Katzman today. I'm really excited to talk to him. So just play Windshield for you now. After that's Mimi Naja. It's going to be fun. Not a lot of comments. I hope that means what I was doing was interesting and not just real weird. Or that you couldn't hear it all. Is this thing on? I don't know how I'm feeling, and no one can verify if everything is working properly, 'cause it's all inside, and there's something on the windshield so I can't fucking see. Besides, no one volunteered to drive me. Are you looking out for me, or am I left to be without you? 2 years of the saddest rhymes, like hard times when a loved one dies, or heartache in an empty home, forced to take the sleepless nights alone, alone, alone. Someone better hide the children. I think things are getting out of hand, and there's nothing for the woman left to take from the man. All the stories of our parents are falling apart. All the lies told to protect us, to keep from breaking our hearts. Whoa. There's a secret in the basement, I can feel it through the floor. I don't think this heart can take the weight of deception anymore. Cry out in helpless agony for the broken memories and things I thought that I could never be. Whoa. Oh, there are comments. I just unscrolled it somehow. Oh, you could hear the computer. That's good. Oh, a lot of comments I missed. All right. Well, I missed all your comments. Whoa, lots of them. So, yeah, that's a little longer than the normal description, so I'm just going to do that one now. We're going to get Theo Katzman in here. He is a member of the band Theo Katzman, as well as Vulfpeck, formerly of a band I used to love called My Dear Disco.
What's up, Ball? How are you, man?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
Good. You can hear me, I imagine.
I can hear you great.
Dude, that was beautiful, man. I've been watching for the last few here. This is fun, and it's a gorgeous song and a great performance.
Thanks, dude. I don't know if you do that voice memo thing, but it's fun going back through them sometimes and just like seeing all the stuff that you forgot about, you know?
Totally. I really related to what you just said about realizing that, you know, pieces of songs you never finished actually made it into a song you did finish.
Yeah.
Or you're like, what, you know, like you never really know what is leading you to what, like what song or what fragment or what groove or what riff or what melody is going to lead you wherever, you know? So I have a rule for myself. I try to stick to, sometimes I don't, but where I'm like, write all songs. Like you know, even if you're like, I already wrote this song, it's like, just write it anyway, you know,
Yeah.
finish it and see if it ends up replacing the other one or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I have that same rule and do it all the time. Like I write in a 4/1 pattern, my favorite melody. And if I like have these lyric ideas, I just let it go, because then you're writing lyrics in meter, and often they're like really adjustable to something else later. You come up with some melody idea and you're like, oh, what about that one piece I was working on?
Yeah, lyrics are sort of endless in this bizarre way. Like if you let it kind of, especially if you have a groove going, like you just said, I do find that, yeah, I feel like, you know, some writers, you and I are similar in that way, but some writers are like chords, you know, harmony based, that's their thing. And I'm always jealous of that. It's like, ooh, what could the chords be? I'm like, I don't care, man. I want to get to the melody and the lyric right.
Get the lyrics out. Yeah, man. So for those that might not know, Theo is in Vulfpeck, and you have a couple of records. You have a record that just came out, Modern Johnny Sings, right?
Modern Johnny Sings, Songs in the Age of Vibe. Yeah, I'm worn many hats in my life. You knew me first when I was playing in My Dear Disco in Michigan, back in the Michigan days.
Yeah, I have a box of My Dear Disco CDs that you guys left at like a garden Bell show or something, and I took them home and just never got them back to you. So if you need any
please hang on to them.
Yeah, it's the black one.
Yeah, dude, there's so many CDs, man. The tragedy of the CD, particularly when we, you know, started doing this. I mean, CDs are still a thing. People still buy them. We still make them. But I feel like there's a bunch of bands that have, like, you know, 3,000 extra CDs. It's like, shit.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You know, you got that big order at the wrong time in history.
Right, just right at the last minute, man.
Right before Apple put out the driveless, you know, no CD drive laptop.
Yeah, so you've been a part of a lot of projects, and the interesting thing about this show that I've been doing is I find myself wanting to ask people all the time, like, what kind of music they write. And as a musician, I get that question, and I'm like, it's just what we do, man. But it's so interesting. Like, I listened to your solo record, both of them, a lot. And I just don't know what it is, man. It's just great music.
Cool. Which is that's the best compliment I've ever gotten.
Yeah, it's like at times I feel like I'm listening to some old Michael Jackson, and then sometimes I feel like I'm listening to some like classic R&B, and then there's like some poignant lyrical political thing going on, and I'm listening to something real modern, and it's great. It's like,
thanks,
you're so versatile and just genuine to who you are. I guess that's the thing.
You, Paul. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you feel that way. I've always I've tried to lean into the fact that I really don't know what like my thing is in terms of genre, you know?
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like it's frenetic or it's all over the place. And I, you know, at certain points in time, I felt bad about that. And now I'm like, fuck it. You know, it is what it is. And, I don't know. I think it makes you, like you said, hopefully more versatile. I'm just basically writing. I'm not going to throw something away that I think is good just because I don't understand what genre it is. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to write songs that excite me. Because at the end of the day, you know, you sort of have to be able to go to bat for it. You have to be like, well, I don't know if anyone's going to like this, but I am excited about it. You know, and you know when you get that feeling. And there have probably been times when you finish a song and you're like, and you play it for somebody and they're like, that's great. And you kind of don't care. You're like, well, okay, fine. I don't want to play it though.
Yeah.
And the opposite could be true.
The opposite also. Yeah. So when you are writing and what's the writing like for like the different projects you're involved in? Are you just writing and then you're like, oh, this is a good song for Vulfpeck, or I'll put this on one of my records, or I'll give this to somebody else, because you're also writing music for other people right now, right?
You know, somewhat. I've definitely done a lot of that, or I've tried to do a lot of that years back, like, you know, to try to crack into the music scene at large, sort of, by like trying to help other artists write. And basically nothing got recorded, like nothing made it all the way to that stage, you know, and I got a little burnt out on like coming up with a song, and then like nothing happening, and then another one, and then hey, we got a call from Black, blah, 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 and it was like, man, I'm just gonna focus on my own stuff because then I can at least finish it and do something with it. So now, you know, a couple things have trickled out here and there, which is great, and I hope to do more of that work in the future. But to answer your question, the most of the time I'm writing for myself, and occasionally I'll write something and I'll be like, this would probably be best with Vulf or like with Jack's, you know, thing on it. But that's really only happened a couple times. The predominant, you know, I'm really not the predominant composer in Vulfpeck. It's mostly Jack and Woody, actually. So, I mean, in terms of that writing process, it's not really my songs, with the exception of Vulf did a version of my song "Love Is a Beautiful Thing," and then also my song I wrote called "Lonely Town," which I was like, I finished it with my friend Ryan Lerman, who's also done we've done a couple of his tunes with Vulfpeck. It was like, this song is like, I felt like it was like Vulf Goes to the Circus or something. And as I was playing it, I was like, I don't know if I could record this, but it's like, I'm not gonna get what's zany about it if I do it myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas when I go to the well and I really like just like be myself, then that's kind of like, there's nobody else that can do this song, you know? Or I hope to get that while still getting something universal. You know how that is. It's just like,
yeah, like
what the hell are we trying to do?
Like Good to Be Alone, that song.
Sure.
Like, that feels like I'm sitting there talking to you on the phone, and you just got home from tour and you're telling me exactly how it is.
Totally.
But like, you listen to it and it's like, it's universal. Like everyone relates to that and gets
Thanks,
that.
Man. Yeah, that's one that I'm proud of in that way. That felt like a breakthrough for me, that song at that time in my life. I was like, oh shit, I wrote a real country song. Like, fuck yeah. That was like, I always wanted to like write a goddamn real song, you know?
Yeah, that one is a real country song.
Yeah.
So like, writing for multiple facets, like is the title of the new album. Like,
yes.
Does that play into it? Is that like not Theo Katzman? Is it a shadow of you, or like
right? Good question. No, I think I probably confused people with that a little bit. It's me. I come up with a lot of character names. Like I don't know why. It's something that I do. I have like all kinds of characters. I have a list, you know. I don't have scenarios for these characters either. Like, I'm not trying to write a cartoon or like a comic book, you know. I just have these kind of like character names. My dad would do that kind of thing. I don't know if it's genetic or if I just grew up around that or whatever. But anyway, I'll come up with these characters that kind of feel like a feeling. So if I'm in a certain mood, I'll be like, oh, I'm this guy right now. Does that make sense?
It totally does, yeah.
It's like if you were like Peachy Paul because you were like feeling peachy or some shit. I don't know. You'd be like, oh, Peachy Paul today or whatever.
Yeah.
And with Modern Johnny, this just kept coming up over the years as I was like writing and trying to be a singer-songwriter and just like walk that path, you know? And it was like, what the hell? Everyone else is, you know, basically everyone that's trying to do this has this kind of set of shared experiences and feelings. And I felt like Modern Johnny was the archetype of the dude, like, getting out there and trying to make his songs happen.
Yeah, he's like gigging, speaking for himself. Like, when he's hanging out in a restaurant, he's telling the waiter who he is, and like...
yeah, all that kind of stuff. And then also it felt like an element of Modern Johnny was that I sort of I don't feel like he fits. Because what's funny about the word modern, it's actually like a throwback word. Modern, like, think about like modernism and then postmodernism. Like, modern itself is a vintage word. It's
which is like a oxymoron or a paradox or something.
You think of like modern and it's like the Jetsons. Like, you know, but that's vintage, but it's future. So anyway, that was exciting me. And then, yeah, I don't know. I got the title one day talking to a friend about the difference between like vibe music and sort of like playlist music in the playlist generation of like, there's a lot of music that you could just have be ambient, you know, at a coffee shop spinning a million times a day and nobody's really listening to it, but it's like, it's vibe.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I was like, damn it, I'm writing songs, you know, like, so it's like, yeah, it's like songs in the age of vibe.
I love it, man.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. I mean, again, I don't know if it worked. I
love it. And they are, they kind of work both ways, really. Like,
oh, good.
The first couple times listening to the record, I think I was like busy with my daughter or something, and it's hard to really hone in. But today I was really trying to, today and the last couple days since we talked about doing this, I was honing in on some lyrics, and there's just like some gems all over the place, man.
Thanks, man.
Some beautiful stuff and some like kind of like poignantly controversial things.
For sure.
You probably get some like responses too.
Yeah, I got some blowback for sure on the internet. But to quote, you know, I'm a big fan of Jason Isbell.
Me too, man.
Yeah. And I figured. And I saw an interview of him on Trevor Noah with him where he was like, somebody asked him Trevor asked him if like he gets pushback from people, you know, and he was like, because he's talking about real issues. And he said, I'll impersonate his accent, forgive me. But he was like, well, he's like, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. I mean, nobody says that to my face, you know?
Yeah.
I was right, like, hell yeah, bro.
If it's something worth talking about, people are going to have some blowback or something. But I find most of those lyrics on that record to be like critical, but also like positive and optimistic, like for change. Like, you talk about like things that upset you with our system and our government, but then you talk about like positive social responsibility kind of stuff. That's like, it's tricky to write about and not sound like you're like on the soapbox telling people what to do.
Totally, man. I really didn't want to be on a soapbox. I honestly didn't even really want to talk about any of those issues. I just kept getting those melodies and shit. You know, I'd get this hook and I'd be like, oh no, I need to write a song about being president? Like, no, I don't want to do that. And then I couldn't unhear it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And usually when something sticks with me that hard, I'm like, okay, this is going to stick with other people too. So I tried to then, those were hard songs to write. Not easy. I mean, really, I really like worked at those songs, worked very hard. I in terms of your, question of like, have you ever gone through old voice memos? And the answer is yes, but also fun is going through old like notebooks and just seeing like the 12 other verses that didn't get used or whatever.
Make it. Yeah,
it's like,
totally.
oh man, that's a really good song, that lyric, but it didn't make it, you know?
Yeah, I listened to one today that was like a song that we play, and it was like none of the verses, and it was like months after the song I demoed it, and then there was like all of a sudden this demo of the same song but with 3 totally different verses, and I had no recollection.
That's amazing. Isn't that great?
It's fun. Yeah, sometimes that's how I get going, if I don't like know how to start, you know, if I'm trying to be like the responsible songwriter as a job. You know, and I just want to like sit down and write a song. The first thing I'll do is just like start organizing some of my unfinished thoughts. And then I'm like, what key is that in? And I like try and relearn it. And then, then find a way to make it better. And then next thing I know, I'm writing it again.
That's awesome, man. I've recently sort of struggled. I've gone in and out of periods where I can like treat it more routinely and other times where I just can't, but I end up doing it a lot anyway. And you know what I mean? I like,
The War of Art.
The War of Art, man.
May told me about that book and said that you told her about it, and I bought it, and I read a portion of it. I keep it in the bathroom for not too much information. Kind of it's just short little snips.
Yeah, if anybody needs a copy, let me know, because I've sent that. Probably I looked on my purchasing on Amazon the other day, and I was looking for something else. I was like, holy shit, I've purchased like 24 copies of it or something. I just keep sending it to people. But yeah, that, you know, I think that dude is right in that, like, this, if you're an artist, you will always doubt yourself, and you kind of need to push through that. You need to figure out a way to let go of that as enough to create, you know, and that's harder at certain times than others, whatever, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, before we chat too long, why don't you play us a song and then we'll chat more?
Okay, cool. I thought I'd play a new one, man.
You play whatever you want, like a brand new one that's not recorded?
Yeah, scary.
Great.
Is that
Great.
cool? The thing with that is that the thing with that is like sometimes I don't want, you know, you don't want to play things because you're not sure they're done yet, and sometimes it kind of like solidifies it. But also, I'm trying to get better at like whatever, you know. If it's done, if it's not done, then it's not done. I don't know. And plus, it's the internet, and plus, it's COVID, so it's just trying to, you know.
Yeah, I don't do that either. And on Mother's Day, I put out a song that was unfinished just to, you know, like be vulnerable.
I did the same thing, bro.
See, look at
Was it about your mom? Was it about mother?
It's about the mother of my daughter.
There we go. So. Wow, you're at level 2, man. You have entered the next sphere of that. That's amazing.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Theo Katzman.
Okay. I hope I remember it. Let's start with the chorus. I wanna be from somewhere. I wanna stand for something. The price of my freedom. You couldn't pay me nothing. I wanna die an old man in the presence of loved ones, with a special someone sitting right next to me. I'm gonna go to the cafe. Oh, gotta get my coffee. They know exactly what I want. They won't even ask me. And if I keep up the good work and make a visit to the tip jar, well, every couple days, Lord, they forget to charge me. I wanna be from somewhere. I wanna stand for something. The price of my freedom couldn't pay me nothing. I wanna die an old man in the presence of loved ones, with a special someone sitting right next to me. I say howdy to the neighbor, or when I'm taking out the trash can, and we talk about some bullshit in the early evening breeze. And even though I am the new kid, and he's been living on the old block, he still asks me how my day was, and that's the way it ought to be. I wanna be from somewhere. I wanna stand for something. The price of my freedom, you couldn't pay me nothing. I wanna die an old man in the presence of a loved one, with a special someone sitting right next to me. I ain't talking about a movement. I ain't talking about money. It shouldn't take a revolution to get some milk and some honey. I'm just talking about a living a little closer to the bone, yeah. I'm just talking about the one thing I thought everybody wanted to be from somewhere. Oh, to stand for something. But the price of my freedom couldn't pay me nothing. I wanna die an old man in the presence of loved ones, with a special someone sitting right next to me. Optional third verse. What is it? 1, 2. What is it? Wait, hold on. Third verse. Oh. I know it seems like it's a dream now, whatever. It's just a funny fantasy now. But every evening when I lay down, right before I go to sleep, and in the morning when I wake up, before I make it to the cafe, I ask myself if I'm living the life I want to lead, whatever, right? Okay, of course. I want to be from somewhere. I want to stand for something. The price of my freedom, it wouldn't pay me nothing. I want to die an old man in the presence of loved ones, yeah, with a special someone. That's the life I want to lead. With a special someone, that's the life of my dreams. All right.
I love it, dude.
Okay, unfinished. Sweet. I like the chorus.
I like the chorus too. I want to die an old man. That's a nice, real simple thing that everyone will really hold on to, like latch on to, man. That's good chorus material.
Yeah, thank you. I wrote it. I saw somebody so hard to play with the streaming comments. Holy shit.
Yeah, I usually try to ignore them, but man, there's a lot. Yeah, and they're delayed too, so it's like about something you did 20 seconds ago. So if you really start thinking about it, and you're trying to remember words, it's woo.
Sort of trip into the past, yeah. So I saw somebody wrote John Prine vibes. Absolutely correct. I realized that after I wrote it. I was like, holy crap, I could never have written this without Prine. And I started it. I got this idea when I was running years ago. I was running around Dublin. I was on tour, and I was running, and like I had this idea of like, when I go to the cafe to get my coffee, pretty old school, they know exactly what I want. They don't even ask me. That's all I had. And I was like, okay, you know. And then the other day I was on a run, and that lyric came back to me, and it was like the whole song just kind of like, you know, it went into the chorus, and then I was like, oh shit, this is cool.
I like it, man. Last week I talked about co-writing with this guy who's a real good lyricist, and he like talked about the, you know, using specific images instead of the word something, someone, somewhere, which I do all the time. And I'm a big fan of this because I think it like shows this like uncertain longing. Like I want to be from somewhere. It's different than being like, I want to be from Brooklyn, because then that means that you're cool. Or I want to be from LA because it means you grew up with models on the beach. I like
right.
I want to be from somewhere means you don't know or something. I love it.
Yes, awesome. What I really like that chorus because it's like that's the feeling I have is like where the hell are any of us from in America? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, especially now, and it's like the internet and the identity thing and the culture thing, and like with the coronavirus, not being able to like go out and kind of like see people, you know, my neighbors over here on the cul-de-sac like have thrown down some like social distance barbecues, and it's like, wow, I actually know my freaking neighbors now. You know, I've been living here for 2 years, and like we never really knew each other. It's like just made me feel like, hell yeah, I want to be from somewhere, you know. Mm-hmm. Like we're all running around this globe, us musicians. And anyway, that's my
I like that. I liked what you did in that verse too, and I realized that you do it a lot, and I try to do it a lot, or naturally do it. This like splitting up of like common images in your lyrics. Like you say, I just want to bullshit. Then you say something about the breeze, and it's like shit blowing the breeze. It's like an expression. But you split it up and like shifted the meaning. And then the next one you say something about New Kids on the Block. Split it. I love that stuff.
It is fun, and that's where I think you can get some meat off the bone as a lyricist with like slanting or sort of like messing around with cliches, you know, mm-hmm. like or these adages or these like classic phrases where, you know, that's part of what that's like a cliche isn't. Yeah, it could be like a headline, you know, but then you don't want to write cliche. You need to kind of like mess them up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. And it's weird because as a writer, cliche is like bad. You don't want cliche, but cliche is like, it's like stereotypes or something. They're true because cliches are good because they're like inherently true and commonly known. So when you start writing a lyric like that, you evoke the feeling of this cliche, but then you twist it.
Yeah, as a title or something, if you say, I'm trying to think of, you know, there's now I can't think of a single song. But it's like titles have to be sort of like, sometimes the punchline of a song is this kind of heavy, iconic thing. And a lot of times it is sort of like a cliche, but then the magic is the uncliche way that you approach the headline kind of, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, what else was I going to ask you? I just, I love the tune. Death of Us. That song's good,
Oh,
man.
sweet. Thank you.
That's one of my faves. I don't have any
play
specific.
That one?
Yeah, would you?
Sure.
We got 14 minutes till we get kicked here. I've gotten this conversation for me. This is my 9th episode, so you're my 17th guest.
Oh, sick, dude.
And it's like as much as I think the material or the subject matter will be explored and we'll run out of stuff to talk about, it's the exact opposite.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
it's amazing. Well, were you're gonna ask me something, or
I don't know. I don't actually.
Let me tell you a fun story about this song. I got to Berlin where I was going to Berlin for like a month writing retreat a couple of years ago. I had always lived with roommates, and I was like, I'm going to go live in a place by myself. And I got this opportunity to go to Berlin, and I had saved up some money, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do this vacation for myself, this writing retreat, And, the first day that I got there, like my one friend that I had in Berlin, I have like 2 or 3 friends there, but I met up with my buddy, and I we went out for beers, and I had too many beers. And then, Sophie's saying, yo, what's up, Berlin? I had too many beers. And then I ate a falafel, and I woke up just feeling terrible. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
fucking terrible. And I was sort of bummed at myself, because I was like, man, you're supposed to be here on this retreat. You know what I mean? You're supposed to get all, in the zone. And then I got this idea as soon as I woke up, a hangover, and it was like, falafel's gonna be the death of me. Falafel's gonna be the death of me. And I was like, wow, that's the stupidest thing I've ever thought. And then I was like, whatever, man, just write it. So then I was like, and I was like,
oh, that's where the beginning, the 1 is enough, 2 is more part comes
sometimes like I can't stop the thing if I have 1 on 2. And then I was like, holy shit, this is like a love hangover. And then I was like, oh, love's gonna be the death of me. And then I started thinking about like failed romantic things, and it was like, wow, this is actually really exciting now. But I just love that it started with that. Like, I heard Paul McCartney said that yesterday was like scrambled eggs.
Oh, I've heard that story. Yeah.
It's sweet.
And your lesson about just writing it is applied there. Also a lesson in life. It takes life experience to be creative, sort of like,
Totally.
If you're too focused on being focused, maybe you won't find it.
I know, man. I've honestly, TBH, been struggling with that recently, like regrouping from being on tour and trying to dive into the like focus thing. I've just been like, I've broken it a couple times,
Yeah,
grabbed it and I went.
That whole thing, that concept of like the responsibility of being stranded at home to write music was something that inspired me to start this too, just to kind of talk to everybody about like, how do you deal with that pressure of like forcing yourself to be creative instead of, I think most of us as songwriters, it starts from this place of like magic. Yeah, you're learning a Beatles song, and then suddenly you're writing your own song, and you're so proud of it. And
you're writing your own Beatles song.
You're writing your own Beatles song
if you're lucky.
Yeah. Man, it's great to chat with you, dude. Thanks for coming on here and talking with me.
Of course, man. I love you, bro. We haven't gotten to hang as much as we want, but for those who don't know, Paul and I have known each other a long time, and it's fun. It's so fun to see like your homies and people that you've shared time on the road with just like continue to grow. And I meet people all the time to be like, man, this band Greensky Bluegrass? I'm like, yeah. I even had some guy recently like corner me. I don't remember where this was. This was sometime when I was on the road, and it was a hazy, like, dark room, loud music. This guy was like, I'll tell you something. There's a band. They're the best band in America. I was like, what band? They're like, Greensky Bluegrass. And I was like, hold on a minute. Say that again. And I filmed it, and I forgot to send it to you.
Oh, man. I feel the same way about you, dude. I put your Madison Square Garden show that's on. You filmed the whole thing from stage, which everyone watching too. So it's so creative. It was so cool for me to watch that stage perspective and see
crazy perspective.
Yeah, I mean, that's my perspective. Like, I should watch that now because I missed that so much.
That was a big risk. Jack was like, yeah, we're going to have our buddy Ryan Lerman, who's an amazing songwriter, filmed it, and he knows all the music, and he nailed it, but it was like, Jack was like, I mean, if that didn't work, it would have been like, oh my God.
Yeah,
It
and
didn't work.
the set design was so creative. Everyone should check that out. But I put it on when my family was opening Christmas presents on Christmas Day.
Awesome.
That's
man.
what we had on in the background down here.
That's awesome.
Go ahead and play this tune that I love so much before we run out of time.
Yes.
Yes.
If I have one, I might as well have two. If I have two, I might as well have 10. Now I don't need to count the rest. I think we both know how the story ends. I'm on your front porch. I need a place to sleep. Oh, love's gonna be the death of me. The death of me. Love's gonna be the death of me. The death of me, yeah. I tried hard to play my cards just right. Beginner's luck usually gets me through the night. But after one kiss, it hits the fan. A flash of beating heart in my hand. I grab a Band-Aid, but what's the rush? Oh, love's gonna be the death of us. The death of us. Yeah, love's gonna be the death of us. The death of us. Yeah. Here we rest eternally, we rest in peace. Say a little prayer for the love to cease. Bury our desire, burning all the lust. Till it dashes to ashes, dust to dust. Oh, 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 yeah. Piano solo. Then guitar. I can't even hit that note. Yeah. Now you will never speak to me again. It's all my fault and I cannot pretend. There was a signpost I did not see, driving the wrong way down the one-way street, and now the car's wrapped around the bus. Oh, love's gonna be the death of us. The death of us. Love's gonna be the death of us. Yeah, yeah. Love's gonna be the death of us. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love's gonna be the death of us. The death of us. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, man.
Thanks, man.
I love that bridge. That harmony part on that bridge is so cool.
Thank you, man. Yeah, the static, like,
Yeah.
feels like, I don't know, feels weirdly 80s or something in some way.
I love that, the production
Like-
of 80s harmonies and stuff, man. You write great bridges.
Yeah.
You're a good bridge writer. I might have to shoot you some songs that need bridges because that's not
man.
my forte.
Dude, that is an amazing thing to hear, because I've always felt like I'm not a good bridge writer, which is maybe why I've tried on this record. I was like, bridges, man.
Hey, play the bridge again. We got a few minutes. Just one more time. Let's hear that bridge.
Yeah. Here we rest eternal, here we rest in peace. We say a little prayer for the love to cease. Bury our desire, burning all the lust. It's ash to ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah, that part's it's the low. It's a low harmony part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The one note with the...
It is the kind of 80s thing. Oh, dude, man, it's great to talk to you. Let's get together sometime.
You too, man. Absolutely. When this is all over, look forward to it. Thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, thanks so much, everybody. That's Theo Katzman. Thank you,
Happy
brother.
writing, y'all. Peace.
That was great. I saw some comments about rewatching this because people were late. You will be able to rewatch this on IGTV. That's where it posts now. It does clear all the comments, which normally distract me, but I missed all those comments while I was playing all that recorded music while I was just sitting here and could have been reading them. And I'm kind of curious what you thought about that as a format. Maybe we could go deeper into voice memos. So if you want to indulge me, maybe re-comment on the IGTV story if you felt like you had something I would want to read. I'm sure all of your comments were something I'd want to read, even just thank yous and heart emojis and all that. So re-comment for me, maybe, if you feel like it. They also go to YouTube if you want to get there. This is the 9th episode, so there are 8 prior, 16 whole guests. Yeah, the comments getting wiped. It's, you know, the comments would get stuck on the guest in the old versions when I was screening them because they'd scroll really fast. But I kind of like going back and reliving what you have to say to me. This, you know, it can be a little vulnerable sharing some of this stuff. So I appreciate, you know, you guys participating. So now I will restart so we don't get shut down at 60 minutes, and I will play one song, and then we will have Mimi Naja from my favorite band, Fruition. I'll see you in just a minute.